The first thing that we need to acknowledge is that when any party is in power for an extended period of time, like Harper was for 9 years or Trudeau was for 9 years, children who grow up in those eras and only know those prime ministers, if they think that things aren't doing well, they will automatically want to vote for change. And regardless of what else the party is talking about, that change aspect for them is going to be the most important, because for their active time in society where they've been thinking about things maybe from the age of 15 until 25, yes, kiddo, if they only had one prime minister, they're only going to see things one way, and they're going to think that change is necessary. And that's a very valid worldview to have. So we can't be criticizing young people for that, because young people voted for Trudeau 10 years ago for similar reasons. Young people weren't analyzing the policy of the Liberals and comparing it to Harper. She's in her jolly jumper. She's having a good time. Don't worry. They saw Trudeau as the change candidate, and they saw him talking with passion, and that's why they would vote Liberal. There are a lot of concerns about the alt-right pipeline and how young men are being inundated with types of content such as, the guys who I can't say on this app because they get flagged, Tandrew 8 and those types of guys. But that's not why most young people who are voting conservative are voting conservative. There are a lot of young men who want to vote conservative, who wanted to vote for Pierre, who did vote for Pierre, who are progressives by nature. Like, generally speaking, they don't have any issues with any of the other social conservative things. Like, they don't really want that part of the party. They just simply see change as necessary. Housing has gone through the roof. Youth unemployment is higher right now. Like, when I graduated from university, youth unemployment was the highest it had ever been in decades, and that was under Harper. So change was necessary for a lot of young people who were graduating at the time, and now youth unemployment has gone back up, and so young people see a need for change. I don't inherently think that the young vote has been moving further right as much as they have been just shifting away from the status quo, from the norm. And in the past, the NDP has done a really good job of picking up this vote, but the problem is that the NDP hasn't done a good job of speaking to the material conditions of people's lives. Pierre did a really good job of saying, hey, like, your lives suck, things are expensive, things aren't great right now, I'm going to fix it. It didn't matter that he didn't explain how. It didn't matter that his plan probably wouldn't have helped the average young person. What mattered is that he spoke to the fears and the concerns of those young men. And there are a lot of other valid reasons why a young person or any person in general would want to vote conservative. But the thing is, when we're specifically talking about why so many young men wanted to show up for Pierre, change is a huge part of that. Housing is a huge part of that. And if we can't start fixing those things, we're in trouble. But we should also be aware that it's not like 80% of young men voted for Pierre. Like, I haven't seen hard data from the election, but polling before the election showed that conservatives were leading among young men by about 15 to 20 points, and by young men in general, anywhere between 5 and 10 points. But on the inverse, that also means that women were leading in other categories by similar or larger amounts in order for the Liberals to have won the election by the margin that they did. And so conservatives are probably saying to themselves as well, why are women voting so liberal? Like, what can we do to get the female vote? Which is a valid conversation to have. Both parties should be analyzing where they fell short and how they can make that up. Especially the NDP, because they lost all of the votes. But once again, I think that has more to do with the fear of Pierre than anything else. At the end of the day, we shouldn't be judging young people for wanting to vote for change. And a lot of people don't necessarily vote purely on specific policies. They vote on the general feel and the general vibes that they can see in the economy. If you're concerned about a young person, a young man, ask them what they think about certain things that you might be concerned about, and just see where their values fall. I guarantee you that most people's values are very similar to yours. It's just that the specifics of what they see in the economy are not what they want. They probably don't see things socially much different from you. They just think that there's a need for change. And so it's up to Carney and the Liberals now to prove that they are change. And if they can't prove that, then they don't necessarily deserve to win another election. Because even if they do a good job, part of being electable is showing confidence, showing the voters that you have their confidence. And they have to earn the confidence of young men.